Hi, Keri Barnum here from New Shelves Books, and we are here for Free Advice Friday, the hour every Friday we get together to talk about books, marketing, and more. And I hope that you are joining us live straight through newshelves.com/FAF, or you can certainly be joining us on Facebook or watching replays on YouTube. If you have questions, we do take them live on our Zoom call through that newshelves.com/FAF website, or we take them in advance at questions@freeadvicefridays.com. And with that, we're going to jump right in. We had a couple of questions that were emailed in, and then we also have questions live. So again, if you are live, drop your questions in the Q&A box and we will get to them today. I love it. Hi, honey. Hi, Barb, Nancy. Hi, Ed. Love it, love it. Let's see. Sonia's asking, I need to print 100 booklets to give away quickly and at a low price. Can you recommend a printer? Sonia, when you say booklet, how big is this? Is this going to be bound? Are you looking for something that's stapled? All of those sorts of questions would kind of feed into the answer. How big is it? How many pages? What kind of binding are you looking to have it in? And that would kind of change my suggestions a little bit, so let me know. Stapled in 50 pages. If that is the case, then certainly there are printers that we can recommend, but your best bet for something like that is to go to a local printer. You'll avoid big shipping costs. Typically that's what they're set up for. So going and checking out your local printers, and I'm not talking about Kinko's, I'm talking about an actual printer, going and checking out and see what they have to offer. Can certainly do it. And yes, Staples, Kinko's can do it, but if you find an actual printer close by, chances are the quality might be a little bit better and they have more options, and sometimes it's even cheaper. So I would check that out rather than going to like an offset printer who is going to charge you more, then have to ship, it'll take longer, lots of hassle there. Yeah, absolutely. I'm feeling really down with the process of finding an agent. How valuable is an agent in the publishing process? Is it an absolute must? Just feels like agents wield amazing power to pick and choose. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about agents. So there are a couple ways to publish. Obviously, there is the self-publishing route where you do everything on your own. Now, that does not mean you actually have to do everything on your own. You do not have to format your book, and you do not have to create your cover, but you do at the very least have to find someone to do that for you and someone to work with. And so you do have to actually kind of process everything on your own. You have to manage your project on your own. You're putting the book up on your own accounts and you're publishing it that way. There's another type of publishing that's called assisted or often vanity publishing. And that essentially means that you're paying someone else to publish your book under their name. And for some people, that's fine. For some people, it's grandpa's diary. They just want put into a manuscript. They just want it printed so they can get copies for the family. So they don't care that they're paying someone else to do this because it's kind of a project of love. And then they're not looking to make money or profit on it. They just want it up. They want to print it, and they're happy to pay someone to do that. And that's mostly considered vanity press. Sometimes it's called assisted publishing, just depends on who you're working with. So again, there's value in that if it's what you want. But then let's talk traditional publishing and what it's like right now to get into a traditional deal. Now, traditional publishers can be anywhere from a very small press or to a large press. We're talking someone who does 10 books a year to HarperCollins. Those are all considered traditional press, although you may sometimes hear them called small press, indie press, mid-level press. It's just usually the scale of how many people they have working and how many books they come out. And for those, in some of the smaller publishing houses, they allow authors to submit manuscripts directly for consideration. But most publishers, starting about the mid-level on, and certainly the big ones, we're talking about Penguin, HarperCollins, anything like that, Forge, which of course is connected to one of the bigs, anything like that, they do not allow authors to submit directly to them. They do not accept submissions whatsoever. They only accept submissions to an agent. And here's why. Publishers, with the onset of social media and email and all of that sort of thing, became so accessible that they were getting millions of pitches and they couldn't keep up with it. They couldn't keep up with all the pitches and still do their publishing jobs. So what happened is agents became more popular, and an agent's job is to vet through all these book submissions that are sent to them to find the books that they think are ready for print and they believe in, and they will sign that author on as a client. They will sign them on, and essentially they work for free until or unless the book is sold. If the manuscript and the book is sold to a publisher, the agent gets a cut of that sale, and royalties often ongoing. So that's kind of what happens, is that the agent has become the middleman for the publisher. They have become the person that vets books as a consultant, and then they go on and try to sell a book to a publisher because a publisher will allow them to submit. So that's kind of how it works. They're that person that protects a publisher and vets the authors. So I think that is kind of a little bit different, because yes, if you want the chance of a big publisher, then yeah, you really do have to have an agent. With that said, getting an agent's not easy. I was actually talking to a couple of agents the other day and hearing that the statistics are just overwhelming. In a slow year, or a very slow year, an agent will get anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 queries in a year. And of those, they'll sign maybe 1%. Of the deals that they actually sign or show interest in, the ones that they'll actually sell is even smaller. So it is a slow process. It is something that if you want to go the traditional route, it takes much longer. It takes a little bit of luck, to be honest. It takes a great query and a great book. And keep in mind, an agent may come back and say, I love your book, but it needs to be edited, but it needs to be changed. They may put qualifiers. So it's not just that they're just taking your book and running with it. It's very rare that an agent or a publisher is going to say, wow, this is perfect as is. I wouldn't change a thing. Let's go to print. It's just not how it works. So if you want traditional publishing, I'm afraid an agent is actually really, really necessary for that. And that is why sometimes people move into self-publishing or assisted publishing, where now self-publishing, let's talk about, there's self-publishing where you do everything on your own. You create your covers, you format your files, you put everything in. You are truly a lone wolf doing it on your own. And that's fine, and that's great. If you have the time, the knowledge, the know-how, and you can do it well, I mean, that's awesome. But more likely than not, most self-published authors are actually getting help along the way. They're either working with a company that has contacts so that they can help assist them and get those files done, or they are kind of piecemealing it. Hey, I'm going to find a formatter to do this. I'm going to find a book cover to do this. And they're project managing, which gives you more control, and it allows you to get your book out on your timeline. But it also means that once the book is published, it's still on you. You then have to take off your author hat, put your publisher hat on. And then when you're done with that, you have to go and turn back into an author who's ready to market your book. It's a lot of hats. It's a lot of work. It can be done, and it can be done really well. I know people, and I work with people who have self-published and have done amazing jobs just getting their books out there and doing awesome things, but it is work. And so I think that's kind of what it is at the end, you have to look at your goals. Do you want a big publisher? Do you just want your book out? You have to look at the time and the resource that you want to put into your book and kind of go from there and decide which one's best for you. I don't think there's any wrong or bad answer. I think that it's important to make informed decisions. So no bad decisions, really. It's informed decisions. Inform yourself on what each option is, and then decide from there what's best for you. And if it's best for you, who's anyone else to say that it's wrong or it doesn't work? As long as you know what you're getting into. Yeah, I know that was a really long answer for like a quick question. Soapbox, I'll hop off now. All right. Do you recommend separate social media for book promotion? Um, April, do you mean separate social media accounts or I assume that's what you mean, social media accounts. And as far as having separate, yeah, social media accounts, I think it's important to have public author accounts. So, for example, if you're on Facebook, I think that you have a personal Facebook profile and then you have a public page, which is then for your book promotion. And what I personally do is you create your author page, which is a public page. It's a little bit different than a personal Facebook. And what you do is you invite everyone over to like and to join that page. You say, you know, I want to keep my personal Facebook page personal. I want it here for updates of friends and family, but I also can't wait to talk about my book. So if you're interested in joining me, here's the link. If people join, then they get your book updates. If they don't, then that's okay. It allows some separation with an invitation to join. So I think that's a little bit of the difference there. As far as other accounts like TikTok, Instagram, and all of that, you have two choices. You can either create a separate account, which means that you are running two accounts if you also have a personal account, or you can keep an account that is on the line where you talk about personal stuff, but not anything you wouldn't want the public knowing. But you also drop in book posts here and there. That's mostly what I recommend people do because most of the time your readers want to know you as a person. They don't want just book stuff nonstop. That's exhausting. No one wants that. They want to see pictures of your dogs and then maybe something about your book. They want to see things here and there. Now, if you are, let's say, running a publishing house or you're running something that is bigger where it's books, books, books all the time, that's different. But for the average author, I think having an account for things like Twitter and Instagram that runs the line of being mostly personal, but not too personal, and then also introduces your book and drops that in, again, with the 80-20. 80% of your content should be fun, personal, just stuff. And then 20% maybe is about your book. And that doesn't mean you're always posting a link and saying, go buy my book. Sometimes it's, oh, wow, I just got the best review and it made my day. Thanks so much for reviewing my book title. That is kind of how you drop it in. Well, Donna, yes and no. As far as Facebook showing your book page organically, it is driven by, yes, doing some ads for sure, but is also driven by interaction. So the more you get people to interact on your page, the more Facebook will say, we kind of have to show this and show it to people. How to get people to interact? Post cool stuff. And stuff that has nothing to do with anything. A post on New Shelves that got the most traction this week was a picture of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. I grew up in Virginia right by the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, which for those of you who don't know, it's essentially a tunnel or a bridge that turns into a tunnel. So you literally see this bridge and then it looks like it drops under the water because it does. And then it comes back up. And so I posted something about that and that went crazy. We have likes and comments and all sorts of stuff. And what happened? Because we got interaction on that post, people started to more organically see other posts of ours. So it's driving interaction. And that's why I say puppy pictures, post cute things, post stuff that people just want to respond to, even if it doesn't necessarily have to do with your book or anything that's directly related. Will your audience like it? Will they respond? That's why big Facebook accounts do memes and funny things and quotes. And that's why they ask questions to try to get answers, because all of that interaction makes Facebook show your stuff more. And post consistently. Absolutely. I mean, I know I've said 2 to 3 times minimum. There's really not too much posting. Let me back up, because then I'm going to have someone like, well, I scheduled something for every 2 minutes. Let's not do that. But lots of content, and it doesn't all have to be original. It doesn't have to be something that you like originally, like witty thoughts that you came up with. No, share stuff from other pages, share pictures, all sorts of things. So And yes, looking at your competitors, looking at your comp authors to see what they're talking about and what they are getting interaction on. That's really smart thing to do. Yep. And hashtags. Not so much Facebook for hashtags, but Twitter, Instagram, all of those. Hashtags are king. So certainly matters. Let's see. Ingram Spark question. I'm trying to change the price and keep getting metadata errors with no details listed. My first question on that, Caroline, is if you're trying to change the price and you're getting an error, does the priced barcode on the back of your book cover match the new price? If not, that can be something that's getting you flagged. So I would definitely just check that one. Let's see. If I'm trying ebook soda for my picture book, not sure what I was doing, but I signed up for a 2-week deal, making my ebook available for 99 cents. Did I do it right? Or should I have made it for free? That's completely up to you. You can only make your book for free, your ebook for free on like Amazon if it's on Kindle Select for Kindle Unlimited. Otherwise, you can't. So 99 cents is fine. If you have a picture book, it's really important that you make sure that you go into places like Amazon and make sure you can price your book that low. Sometimes high image books like picture books, because they cost more to deliver, they won't let you do them under a certain price. For example, I work with someone who has a cookbook, and her cookbook, they will not let us price it below $2.99 because they lose all profit. And once they lose profit, they're not interested. So make sure you check on that. Let's see. Yep, so Publish, yes, I've used Publish. And as far as the best ways to get your bubble seen, I think the bubble idea is fun. I think it's mostly people on Publish seeing those bubbles unless you're really aggressively sharing them out to social media. So if you want your bubble seen, I think you have to share, share, share. Ask your authors to share, ask people to share for you. The bubbles are a cool idea because what it does is it kind of takes a quote or something like that and it links it to all of your sales pages. So it's a cool idea, but it's essentially like creating it's like creating a graphic. It's a tool, but then you still have to get it out there. You still have to push it out to make sure that people see it. So think of it more like that. A bubble, I know, while it's actually a link, a bubble is like a graphic that you then still have to push out and share. It's something that you can ask other people to share and that sort of thing, but if it's not shared, it's not seen very much organically, in my experience and in my opinion. But if anyone, again, as always, I like to try to stay a little bit humble, just a little bit. So if anyone else has other experiences or they have better knowledge than me, then please share it because we love to learn from each other. So. Okay, so Caroline's saying, yes, actually the price currently on Ingram doesn't match the cover. I'm trying to correct so that the cover and Ingram match. I am going to guess that may be what it is. So if you are trying to change the price, if you're trying to change the price, what I would do is when you're uploading or when you are trying to change the price, Caroline, I would upload a new file at the same time and see if it takes it then. That by far is probably your best bet. Like it almost needs to be triggered at the same time. So upload, even if it's the same cover because it's the right price, upload that cover and change the price at the same time and see if they take it that way. Let's see, if I plan on publishing a book with the dimensions of 5x8, when I submit to Amazon, do I format it as 5x8 in Word and InDesign, or do I just send a file and make some setting in Amazon? They reformat it to that size. When you are formatting a book, you need to format your PDF to the size of your trim size. So if you have a 5x8 book, you need to be formatting your PDF as a 5x8. so that it actually fits, because you're just uploading and it just goes through. So definitely you want to do that. And also keep in mind that you want to format to your actual trim size, because when you are deciding, when you're deciding text size and all that kind of stuff, it's got to fit on that 5x8. So what you have if you've got something on like a normal Word document and then you're transferring it to 5x8, you're probably going to get more pages depending on if your stuff is double spaced or not double spaced and all of that kind of thing. So format for the trim size you intend to use. All right. And over here, I've got a couple of email questions I wanted to pull up. A question from Bradley over here was, do you advise using DRM for ebooks or not? So DRM is digital rights management. That is kind of like a security system or software that goes on your ebook files so that it's harder for people to hack and steal your files. And we get asked this question a lot. And again, it's one of those things where there are two answers. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think there's the answer that's right for you. So when you have the option of DRM, which you do in almost everywhere has it, and certainly it's an option on KDP for digital rights management. You check if you want it or not. If you are wanting extra security on your file, by all means, select DRM. It gives you a little bit of security. However, please know this is not a padlock. This is a screen door lock. So in that sense, anyone who truly, seriously wants to hack into your ebook files, they can get around it in a matter of 5 minutes. Would it keep someone from inadvertently hacking or copying? Sure. But anyone who actually is going in viciously to hack your files, they're going to get them anyway. So again, it's one of those things where it's like, lock your doors, but also know, it does what it does and that's about it. So keep that in mind. The argument against using digital rights management is in some cases and on some devices, digital rights management, when you turn it on, it's a security system that keeps legitimate users from downloading the file. So in some cases, it will make the user have a hard time downloading and actually reading a file that they bought as an ebook. So sometimes you'll get frustrated people saying, the file didn't work for me. 1-star review because this file didn't work for me, instead of going back to Amazon or whatever it is and saying, hey, I've got a problem with the file. Can you help? Because that's just kind of what happens. So people then have the option to weigh, is DRM worth the extra security to them, or are they just going to say, I don't really care, I just want to make sure that every reader can get that book, no problem. And that's up to you. People who have, let's say, perma-free books or books for 99 cents are more typically likely to be like, if someone steals it, whatever, maybe I'll go viral and I'll get famous and they'll buy my other 5 books, in which case, awesome. And some people feel much more strongly and want the added security. And that's okay too. I think that the chances of it actually keeping a legitimate buyer from using that file are very low. And again, if they're a legitimate buyer of the file, what they're going to do is typically, not always, but typically go back to the place they bought it from, whether it be KDP or Kindle or Kobo or iBooks, and they're going to say, I have a problem with my file, will you please fix it? I think the chances of someone seriously having a hard time with it are relatively low. But there are your options as far as what you do and don't do. Personal decision. A lot of people do, some people don't. Again, I think it depends on what the purpose of your ebook is. If you've got an ebook up for $9.99 and it's like content that like high, like nonfiction content tends to be something that's priced a lot higher. And so sometimes people are like, no, I want to protect it as much as possible because if I lose 10 sales, that's $100. Whereas someone who's got a perma-free book is like, well, I'm giving away anyway, so let's just go ahead and do it. Hopefully they read the rest of my books. So it depends on that, in my opinion. And let's see. Here we go. Karen's asking, I am thinking of using a KDP ISBN number instead of my own so that my book shows up for Barnes & Noble and other online sites like Target and Walmart. Are there any disadvantages to this as an indie publisher? Yes. Right now, I'm not publishing through Ingram Spark using my own ISBNs. I only purchased 10 ISBNs and need to save them. Also, I find that the Ingram Spark process confusing when submitting for paperback publishing, but I want to show up in Barnes & Noble and other searches. I know I said I put away my soapbox, but I'm gonna hop back on for a minute. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I give to indie publishers, like Tara's laughing at me because I'm doing the, okay, all right. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I give to all my self-published clients is buy your own ISBNs and then use them. Yes, you buy 10 and it's $295. They're not free. And it's very tempting when places like Draft to Digital, Ingram Spark, all of these places that are saying, yeah, we have a free ISBN for you. And you're thinking, well, if I have a paperback, an ebook, and a hardcover, that's 3 ISBNs. That's $90 I could be saving. I get it. I so get it. However, those ISBNs come with strings attached. And that is your distribution. That is the control of your book. If you're already self-publishing, which means that you have wanted or chosen to have control of your book, you're giving it away in the last minute. You spent the time, the money, the energy to create your own files, your beautiful cover. And then for $30 or $90, if you're using 3 ISBNs for different formats, you're throwing it away. Don't do that, friends. Please don't do that. When you use the free ISBN from KDP, you give them your distribution rights, which means that you cannot put your book up on any other platform because they own your distribution rights, not you. Same thing for people who say, oh, well, buy our ISBNs. Bowker has them for $295 for 10, but I will sell you 10 for $100. Number one, that's not legitimate. Number two, there's a lot of scams going on right now where people are doing that and they're selling ISBNs that have already been in use and you can't use them. Number three, if you do that and you are buying those ISBNs, the person you bought them from is who has the control. Don't give away your control. And yes, this is part of Ingram Spark that we've seen, and I'm getting into that later. Man, I know. I'm just going to have a soapbox day. Sorry, guys. But so for your ISBNs, buy your own, use your own. Please don't save them. Please use them. It's just not worth it. Get your own ISBN. Put your book up on Ingram Spark. So if you take the free ISBN from KDP, what they do is KDP takes your book, they put it up on Amazon, and then they take your book and their ISBN and they go put it up on Ingram Spark. They control the terms, your discount, and they're taking a nice cut off of that. They're earning money on your book. So that $30 that you saved, how many books do they have to sell of your book before they make that money up? Again, it's not free. It comes with strings. The only thing free is Free Advice Fridays. Kidding. But it's not truly and really free. And if you do get your book up on Ingram Spark, yes, your book will show up on barnesandnoble.com. It will show up on walmart.com and target.com and bookshop.org and IndieBound and all the places. Go and do that for yourself, even if it means you have to save up for those ISBNs. And it's so, so important. Don't give away all of your hard work at the last minute, because that's a shame. Again, not only do you not have full control, but then they're taking a profit off of you. Save up. If it means that your book can't come out for another 3 months, save up and do it that way. Have a change jar that you put your change in to save up for those ISBNs. Forgo your Starbucks for a couple of weeks, whatever it takes. If you are going to go the route of making a beautiful book and you are going to go through all of this work, don't give up at the end. Finish the race, finish it strong. If you are trying to get your book up on Ingram Spark and you're having a hard time, and this sell your plasma. I tried to donate plasma once for a extra credit for anatomy and physiology in college. We could go in and donate plasma. I don't know why I did it, because I had like a 99, but I was an overachiever. So I went in. It was a disaster. It was just so bad. Excuse me. But leading into that, though, talking about your own ISBNs and Ingram Spark, here's the thing. Ingram Spark sent out a big letter. So we already know that there's been this issue with codes and how they're removing all the free codes, and they've removed them. Places like Ally, Nonfiction Association, IBPA have gotten codes, but now what happens is they expire every month and they're only good for 5 uses. And so when they do that, and they're only good for 5 uses, as you may or may not know, to upload a new book to Ingram Spark, it's $49. To revise a file, it's $25, unless you have these codes. Then you can do free revisions up to 5 per month, which for the average person is all you should need. Even if you have multiple books, you should not need more than 5 uploads or revisions in a month. Most of the time. I mean, that's 60 in a year. That's pretty high volume. And so they offer that still, but Ingram Spark has been cracking down on this. And I will tell you why. The reason why they're cracking down on this is what they had happening is they had people selling bad ISBNs, number one. They were selling bad ISBNs, and so people were uploading under ISBNs they could not upload on and causing problems. Then they had people who are uploading hundreds and hundreds of books with a low content, no content, or stolen content, and they are putting them up with a free code. So they're not even paying for the setup. For free, they were getting these free codes, uploading hundreds of books that were not real books. They were bad content or not their content, and they were having people selling them and then starting all over. It was a scam, and what happened is that Ingram Spark's catalog, and therefore Ingram's catalog, ended up with all of these books in their catalog that were junk. So you want to talk about Ingram Spark and how their customer service isn't getting back to people? Well, they are going through and having to audit thousands of titles because a couple of people ruined it for us all. I always tell my kids that. Don't ruin it for everybody. And that's what a couple of people did. There were a couple scammers out there who were doing things they shouldn't. And unfortunately, they really scammed Ingram Spark, and they scammed Ingram Wholesale. And it's really unfortunate that that happened, that this platform that was set up for self-publishers and indie publishers that gave us a lot of power in the print-on-demand world was used so poorly that now they're having to go and clean up a mess. And let me tell you about Ingram Spark, you guys. They don't owe us. What they do, they offer a service. Their service is printing. They also offer the service of using their connection to Ingram to get your book into Ingram. Yes, they charge you. Yes, it's 15% of your book sale is what they charge you to go from Ingram Spark to Ingram Wholesale. But as far as Ingram Spark, all they're making money on is their upload fees, which they have been very generous with free codes for years, and they still offer free codes from places like Ally and IBPA, that kind of thing. So they're not getting an upload fee. Then they are making very low profits, honestly, on the print-on-demand system. They make a profit on every book printed because that's their business, is printing books, but not very much. And they're certainly not making enough profit to have a huge customer service team to help people who don't know what they're doing on Ingram Spark, who are having files that are not formatted correctly or have not used their template. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten people saying, well, my book's not uploading to Ingram Spark. It's not working and their customer service stinks. And then I look at their book and I say, did you use their cover template? No. Well, you have to use the templates they provided. Otherwise, you're trying to stick a square in a circle box. And Ingram Spark is essentially going, we don't actually make enough money to sit here and fix your files for you. Here's a template. Here's all the things you need, but you have to go do it. Excuse me. So whether you do that on your own or you hire someone to do it for you, it is the publisher or the author, if they're self-publishing's job to do that. It's not Ingram Spark's job. So they're at this point in the road, Ingram Spark, where they have offered this service for indie authors and publishers, but it's kind of backfiring on them. And so they've had to pull back. They've kind of had to pull back. They're having to audit their entire catalog. They're having to pull all those codes back they generously offered. They don't have customer service to help you when you have an issue because their customer service is fixing the problem that was created by a couple of scammers. It really stinks. And honestly, it stinks for everybody because people who are using the system legitimately are having to wait extra long, and that stinks. But it also stinks for Ingram Spark, who is literally losing money paying people to go back and audit everything because they were so generous. It's one of those things, and it stinks for everybody, but also, please know, it stinks for Ingram Spark too. And just keep that in mind as you're going forward with some of the stuff, and sometimes wait times are longer. And keep in mind, I know a lot of people say, well, they earn 15% every time they sell my book. And the question I usually come back with, or even they're earning profit off of me every time they print or sell my book, because printing for Ingram Spark and then the selling for Ingram, they're earning profit off of me. And the question I always tell people is go look at your sales over the last year. Look at how many books you've sold and tell me how much they're actually making off of you. And for that amount, is it to them worth the customer service or the time you're asking of them? If they have to pay someone $20 an hour, $30 an hour plus benefits, is the volume that you're putting through something that really warrants that kind of a time and attention? And I know that's harsh. I know that people don't like to hear that, but that's exactly true. You're paying for a convenience, and sometimes people expect a little more. And if you're not outputting that much, then you're not going to get that much. Now, if you're a publisher that is selling hundreds of copies a book a month and you're actually making the money, honestly, they're probably more likely to respond, because then you're not just paying for a convenience, you're working as a partner. And it's different. That's a business, because they are not a charity. This is not a hobby. It's a business. And that's how it works. And again, I know I got back on my soapbox, but I think that's something that's really been important. And I think we're seeing it more and more. And we see such anger towards Ingram Spark. And that, some of it, I understand. It does stink. We wish that we could get quicker responses, and I understand. But I also see the other side of where I work with authors all the time who are expecting more from Ingram Spark than they really signed up for when Ingram Spark offered this service and this convenience. And so that leads me to my point that if you don't know how to get your book up onto Ingram Spark, if it is hard, if you need help, then you have to go pay someone to help you do that. That's not Ingram Spark's customer service job. It's your job to go find someone. So that means that you've got to go and you've got to hire a VA, or you've got to hire a publishing consultant, or you have to find someone who knows what they're doing to walk you through the steps. And that service does not come for free. I mean, it simply doesn't. That is time and expertise that you have to pay for, just like you would a cover designer or formatter. And again, there are VAs that will do this. Publishing consultants do this. There are people there to help you, but you have to put it in the cost of publishing. You have to consider it a business expense. I hear New Shelves is decent. I mean, that Keri, she's pretty awful, but yeah, and we help people all the time. It's publishing consulting though. I don't do it for free. I have little kids who eat a ton. They want to go to horse camp. They like need shoes and things. So no, I don't work for free, but I try to provide a great service for what I charge. And it works for some people. That's right. My kids need books, more books. Oh, actually, that's probably the one thing we have tons of. Can't ever really have too many books though. So that's kind of my opinion. Get your own ISBNs. Go to Bowker, get your own ISBNs. Don't take those freebies. They're not worth it. It is, it's the poisoned apple from Snow White. Don't take it. I know, let's bring this full circle. Get your own ISBNs, use them. If that means you have to save up for them, do that. If you have a hard time on Ingram Spark, find someone who can help you. In some cases, maybe you can trade services, maybe you can barter. I don't know, but if you have taken the time and the care to carry your book from manuscript all the way to being ready to this point, don't drop the ball now. Finish strong, because it will affect you for a long time. Because if you take that free ISBN and you realize later you want more control, guess what you got to do? You have to publish a second edition with your own ISBN. So you then have to pay for your own ISBN. And then on top of that, you have to actually change some of your files and things to reflect a second edition. So it's not as easy as you may think. It does cost you more down the line. And the same goes if that ISBN is coming from BookBaby or Lulu or anywhere. And I've run into, I am not even kidding, probably 12 people this week who are now republishing a new edition because they first published with a free ISBN. It's just a hassle down the road. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. Professional virtual authors assistants do exist. They absolutely do. David, you're hilarious, but I'm not saying that. Let's see. Yes, and you have to, like, just republishing, you can publish a second edition, and there are reasons to do it. But it's not cheap, free, or easy. Like, it takes some time and effort. All right, now that my soapbox has been released for a minute, I'll answer the rest of the questions. I bought 10 ISBNs quite a few years ago, but I don't know where they are. If you bought your own ISBNs and you bought them from Bowker, they are at myidentifiers.com. You go there and try to figure out what your login was, most likely your email. So try your other emails, see if you can do a forgot password. But if you bought ISBNs legitimately in the US, they came from Bowker at myidentifiers.com. If you live in another country, there are different platforms that have ISBN sales. So it depends on your country. See, can you upload your manuscript on multiple distributors like Ingram Spark, Lulu, BookBaby, etc.? Do you have to pick one? April, typically, so if you purchase your own ISBN and you are using your own ISBN, you can technically go to multiple places. The thing that you cannot do is you cannot have multiple providers pushing to the same place. So for example, you cannot go to Lulu and say, yes, I agree to your terms and you will distribute my book to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.com. And then do the same to Ingram Spark and say, yes, I agree to your terms and you can distribute my book to Walmart, Target, you know, all those places. You can't have that crossover because essentially then you are in, you're not following your agreement with that distributor. So yes, the technical answer is yes, depending on what distribution you set up, but you cannot have crossover distribution because then you essentially have people fighting over your distribution. So you can't do that. And most of the time, in rare cases, there may be a reason why you want to do multiples like that. But most of the time you don't. Most of the time it's just overlap you don't need, and it's more hassle than it's worth. And so, well, and that's why I'm saying, April, you have to look at their distribution list to see where they're setting up. In most cases, they go to a lot of the same places. They are going to the same places. Now, maybe Lulu, I know this is not correct, but I'm just using it as an example. Maybe Lulu is the only place that sells directly on Etsy, and that's why you want to use them, and you want to use them just for Etsy or something like that. That would be the case. But in most cases, they're distributing to the big ones. They're distributing to Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, that kind of thing. And let's see. Any preferred alternatives to Adobe InDesign to update both print and ebooks? I hate to hire a costly designer to make small tweaks to my book. I have the InDesign files. Well, if you have the InDesign files, you have options. You can either do Adobe, and what I have seen people do is that you can actually do an online Adobe subscription where it's by the month. So you do it for 1 month, you make your changes, you get rid of it. And then we have several people who use Affinity Publisher. So Affinity Publisher you can then use, and you can change out your files. And we've heard a lot of great feedback. It's a one-time pay, you have it for life. It's a lot less expensive than Adobe. So a lot of people recommend that. And that's what I think I would probably do. All right, you guys, if you have any more questions, let me know. I'm going to check Facebook just to make sure I didn't miss anything there. I do see a question. Nope. All right. Here we go. We're using Draft to Digital to get ebooks into Overdrive so they're available for libraries. What's the best way to make print books available for libraries? Has Ingram Spark worked out the distribution there since Baker and Taylor is no longer available? Nope. Right now, Baker and Taylor is kind of, Baker and Taylor and Follett are on their own. They are doing only school and library sales. So if you are trying to get your paperbacks into libraries, do know, excuse me, that while libraries prefer Baker and Taylor, they will use Ingram wholesale if they like a book. And about 1/3 of libraries will order directly from Amazon.com. The way it was explained to me by a librarian is that most of the time they're big wholesale accounts. Let's say Ingram, Baker and Taylor, they are allowed to make purchases on a schedule. So whether it be monthly, weekly, quarterly, it really depends on the size of the library. They make these big purchases from those big wholesalers. But then many libraries also have a discretionary fund that they are allowed to use each budget period, whatever it may be. And sometimes that's connected to Amazon where they can order books directly from Amazon. Sometimes they will go directly through an author or do something like that. And so that is kind of the options. Now, if you are a self-published author who really wants to get into Baker and Taylor, or a small press that wants your books in Baker and Taylor, you can submit to Baker and Taylor directly. There is a form you have to fill out, but essentially what's happening is Baker and Taylor is looking for proof of sales, lots of sales. They are looking for proof of demand, and then they're looking for the quality of your book and the discount. So where does that leave people who are doing print on demand? You essentially have to apply first, trying to convince Baker and Taylor that you're a good bet for them and asking them to get your book in their catalog. You have to submit actual paperback copies of your book. Once you do that, if they say yes, what you have to do is you have to get author copies printed from Ingram Spark sent to you. You then have to send those author copies to Baker and Taylor for them to stock, and then you become the middleman providing books. So if you're using print on demand, that means you're ordering them author copies from Ingram Spark, shipping to Baker and Taylor, and then Baker and Taylor sells them. If you're doing offset print, or if you're selling a lot at Baker and Taylor, then maybe you're doing an offset print of 500 copies and sending them that way, however it works. And yeah, if Baker and Taylor just is not responding to you, that's a no. We're seeing this more and more with professional reviewers, with agents, even with professional reviewers, with agents, with a lot of people in our industry. They get so many requests that if they don't respond, After a while, you take it as a no. They're simply only responding to people and things that they're interested in. So in that case, if you really want distribution of Baker and Taylor, you have to build up the need and the want. Part of doing that is actually having quotes from librarians who say, wish we had this book in Baker and Taylor, I would buy it. Direct quotes, direct librarians who have asked for the book through Baker and Taylor, that kind of thing. But also it's your sales, it's your overall sales that they're looking for, because Baker and Taylor has limited warehouse space and they want to make a good bet. They want to make a profit because, again, they're a business. So can you use an Adobe Acrobat file created in InDesign to create an ebook? Not directly, Pam. You actually have to have software that converts from that kind of PDF stuff to an ebook. And there are softwares that do that online. I think Vellum is one of them. And there's some other ebook converters, but it's not directly InDesign. All right. Hi. Actually, I am getting a request to do a bullet point with the ISBN issues. Do you mean the ISBNs as far as why you need your own, or are you asking about the issues specific to Ingram Spark? Let me know in the chat. Yeah, it's possible, but very messy. Not recommended. 0 stars. Yeah, why you need your own. I absolutely can, excuse me, but we actually have a blog on this. So let me pull that up really quick. And if you guys, as always, we always love to have contributors on the blog. If you have some topic that has to do with writing or publishing or marketing, an experience that you have, and you would like to contribute to the New Shelves blog and then be featured in our newsletter, which goes out to roughly 10,000 people every week. If you would like to do that, please let me know. Just shoot me an email and let me know. Or if you have an idea for a blog that you would love written, let me know that as well, because I'm always looking for new ideas. We blog twice a week on New Shelves and we try to cover a range of topics, but it's always helpful when we know what you want to read about, because that gives me something to write about. All right, so here I'm going to drop in, if I can find the Zoom chat. All right, my friends. Yes, let me do that all over again. You know I would, because it's one of those things. My poor husband, I was talking to him about this the other day, and he's just like, yeah. Like, you don't get it or care, do you? And he's like, I care about you. And I was like, A+, good answer. All right, so I did drop the ISBN blog, why you need your own ISBNs, right in the box there. But as far as kind of the idea of what you need your own ISBNs because you need the control. That's really what it boils down to. Free ISBNs are not free. You need the control that they deliver to you, and you need to be able to set your own discounts to get where you want to get, and you don't want to have to republish. That's kind of the gist of it. I think that blog will help, but I also can pull transcripts and do a more detailed blog. Maybe I'll do that. That's what's coming. I'm just going to have like these ranty blogs. We'll call them like Keri's Soapbox. Coming soon to a blog near you. Yeah, no, they're not free in the US. That is a good point. Canada, for instance, does offer free ISBNs to their residents. And why are they free in other countries? It's a government thing, because our government can make money off of them, and they have an agreement with Bowker. And so it just depends. Certain countries do them for free and certain ones do not. Just like lots of things, like healthcare and other things. There's just different criteria for different countries. But again, if you have an idea for a blog that you would like to write, an experience, you know, maybe you've done a recent book bug promo and you wanted to say how it went, or your experience, or what you wish you knew about your book launch, or whatever it may be. If you have an idea for a blog that you would like to write, or you have an idea of a blog you wish were written so you can read about it, shoot me an email. It's just Keri@newshelves.com. That's directly to me. And let me see, I'm going to make sure we got all our questions because we're coming in at 11 o'clock. What is the best way to contact librarians, and are those email lists for sale useful or even legitimate? In some cases, they are legitimate. However, most of them will have phone numbers, so be prepared to let your fingers do the walking so you can then do the talking. I apparently need to go. I'm rhyming. It's so bad. Most of them will have what they sell most of the time is going to be phone number lists. They're not usually email lists. Do know that if someone's selling an email list, that list has gotten tons of emails. They are inundated with emails. Chances of them seeing yours are itty-bitty. I will say that personally for the New Shelves list, we have curated ours from relationships and from years of research and talking to people. We never, ever, 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 ever sell our list here at New Shelves. And the reason why is because I don't want to inundate my librarian friends with tons of stuff. And so I think you keep that in mind, is that if you're able to buy a list and thousands of other people are too, how much are you really going to be seen or noticed? And again, that's why here at New Shelves, we kind of protect our list a little bit more. We don't share our contacts. Also, we don't have permission to do that. So can they be useful? Maybe, but probably more likely if you are willing to take the time to actually make a phone call, get the email of the person you should. And again, that means that you've got a call. So it's time. And honestly, you can do that yourself. Go on Google and say Kansas Library's phone numbers, and you can find them and you can call yourself. It's going to take time, unfortunately. That's what it takes. The New Shelves, again, the New Shelves list has taken years, and it's taken lots of research, lots of outreach, lots of phone calls. Many done by yours truly. And so it takes time to make a really good list and to get really good contacts. And the shortcuts only work but so well. Let's see. Yes, ebook converters keep asking me for a Word file. That may be true, Pam. Some ebook converters will go from Word, and certainly if you're using like Draft to Digital or something like that, they prefer Word, and that is because it's not set. It's like an open file, kind of. Let's see. I have a how to write a novel do-it-yourself course I wrote. Any tips on where to sell it? If you're selling something like a course, the best place to start is just on your website. But first you have to kind of get the word out there with things like blogs and proving that it works and how it works and getting endorsements and things like that. All right, last one. Where are the best sites other than Goodreads and BookBub to post reviews of books you've read? Book review sites include, what was the one? I was looking at a newish one today, so excuse me while I look down at my phone because that's where it was. I have lots of tabs open on my phone as well. Here we go. The Story Graph. The Story Graph is a new one. It's kind of like Goodreads, except for it's not as social. It's just meant for book reviews. You don't see who follows you or different things like that. But you can leave reviews on the Story Graph, Goodreads, BookBub, Amazon, Kobo, iBooks, pretty much wherever books are sold. Bookshop.org, indiebound.org, I think you can leave books, book reviews, barnesandnoble.com. If you can buy books there, you can usually leave a review. And then certainly places like Goodreads and the Story Graph are meant specifically just for reviews. BookBub's another good one. So, and I say, if you've written a review, why not share it all over? Like, let's help each other out. Let's help authors out. There was a question that was brought up of whether or not it is legitimate to leave book reviews as an author. And I think that really just depends on what kind of review you're leaving and why you're leaving it. Are you leaving a bad review on a competitor's book or something like that? In that case, let's not do that. However, if you write historical romances and you're reviewing a thriller, I think that's fine. I mean, if you know them personally and you're BFFs, maybe not. But otherwise, I think for the most part, it's fine. All right, friends, I've got to run. I've got children at the door, my children. And so I'll see you next time. Join us Free Advice Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. And I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.